Hey people, CzarThwomp here, and welcome to episode 40 of The Greatest Attorney 2 Resolve. Last time, we found Enoch Drebber inside his own safe, and we disarmed the time bomb that he sent his lab to explode. However, basically, that time bomb that was mistaken as an anti-gravity device, that was not an anti-gravity device, was not the only time bomb that Enoch Drebber put down. He apparently put one in his own machine, in the kinesis machine that was at the stage area, and it blew up, and basically, the evidence was lost, and now we are in court, and we are going to basically cross-examine Drebber. So let's go.
At once, my lord. The prosecution calls the engineer, Mr. Enoch Drebber, to the stand. State your name and occupation for the court. Name, Enoch Drebber. Occupation, hard to pin down, I would say.
Yeah, not reading these lines.
Your file indicates that you are currently being investigated in connection with another case. The theft of a waxwork model, is it? A most extraordinary sounding business. But this has no bearing on this trial, I assure you. Cleave it from your mind. You're familiar with the public experiment carried out at the Great Exhibition some days ago. The accused super high voltage instantaneous kinesis demonstration. Yes, you could say that. I am aware of it. There was a terrible accident, wasn't there? It was you, Mr. Drebber, who constructed the vast machine used in the experiment. You constructed the death ray of doom. Also, our investigations indicate. Can you confirm your involvement? Yes, I constructed it in precise accordance with the blueprints, but that's all. Then the court would be very interested to hear your thoughts about. Then the court would be very interested to hear your thoughts about the machine, I'm sure. Time to activate my death laser, that I have embedded in my hand to become a bounty hunter. An amazing device, if you ask me. The pinnacle of modern science, making instantaneous kinesis a reality at last.
What?
Good gracious! Do you mean to say that the experiment was bona fide? Is that your belief, sir? Yes, that is very much my belief. Such a waste that it blew up.
Objection!
But we already established the machine was nothing more than a prop for an elaborate conjuring trick.
Objection!
You've established nothing of the sort. All that was shown during yesterday's proceedings is that the same outcome couldn't have been produced by means of stage trickery. The defense merely proposed a method and demonstrated its feasibility, nothing more.
But...
We've procrastinated long enough, I feel. Witness, you will now give your formal testimony about the machine that you constructed for the purpose of the demonstration at the Great Exhibition. Understood. Allow me to do the worm for you. I met the young professor approximately 1 year ago through Mr. Assman's introduction. He provided me with the blueprints and I constructed the machine to his precise specifications. It was no trick. If the whole show was a fraud, it would have required a body double. Tell me, did the victim have a twin? All the spectators saw the birdcage appear above their heads and then crash headfirst into the crystal tower. A terrible accident, I grant you. Perhaps the science on the machine was flawed somehow. I don't know. Or rocketed. Or a wrench. A body double? That goes without saying, surely. To give the impression that something has moved when in reality it hasn't. It's a basic conjuring principle. This deception cannot be achieved without substituting the original with a fake at some point during the performance. But would I be right in saying you haven't managed to establish anything along those lines? Incidentally, The prosecution has already confirmed that Mr. Assman has no twin siblings. It's my understanding that this witness is well versed in conjuring artfulness. But such talents do not indicate that he was actually able to accomplish what he claims. Namely, the construction of what, by all accounts, must have been an extremely complex scientific machine. What devil do you mean? Yesterday's proceedings brought the true nature of your past exploits to light, Mr. Trevor.
Indeed it did, my lord. As a swindler who preys on innocent scientists to elicit government grant money through conjuring know-how.
Yes, it's true that I possess considerable knowledge of stage magic. But crucially, my scientific knowledge more than matches that of any academic in the field. Investigation of the witness's workshop attests to that claim, my lord. As evidence, the police found this Royal Society trophy for young talent in science there.
Yes, that's true. We spotted it there ourselves.
If our hypothesis is sound, it can always be forged into a physical manifestation with sufficient skill. Though I must say, though I may have told the secrets of some deceptive wiles to sniveling talentless scientists in the past, would you therefore assert that the explosion of the machine was an unfortunate accident, or of course, a deliberate act of murder carried out by misuse of the science? Counsel for the defense, your cross-examination, please.
Yes, my lord. Well, come on, give us Trevor's theme. I like Trevor's theme. It's a good theme. Come on, what press? So you were already acquainted with Mr. Assman himself?
Not really. By chance, I'd seen his name mentioned in the papers, that's all. He was mentioned for bounty theft, peeping, and apparently trying to give some questionable quality teas to some young girls. We don't know. But I had no interest in his private affairs. If he was an unscrupulous investor, it was no concern of mine. As long as people pay their bills, I take up my tools and construct what they ask for. I have built several death rays, I have built a doom dirigible, and I have created the foundations for TikTok.
So why did Mr. Assman approach you in particular then?
Who can say? I presume because my name is associated with excellence in engineering. Plus, I have a robotic left hand and a badass scope. I am like something you would see out of Overwatch or Team Fortress. I would be jumping around there, blasting things. I'm like something you'd see out of Star Wars or DC, where I'd be a bounty hunter. I'd be going around, I'd fire an electro net from my hand. Boom, you're trapped in the net, and then I drag you off for big money.
Not to mention excellence in fraud.
It's only fraud if you get caught. Hard to gauge, but the point is, all I did was construct a machine according to the blueprints I was given. In other words, the kinesis machine was built on solid scientific principles. Yes, it was written on the back of a napkin with several phrases including, "What am I doing here? What is my life?" Yes, you might say that. Professor Hairbrain certainly has a mind like no other. Don't you remind me of that. That's exactly what the police said when they came across the railgun incident. You provided me with blueprints as well as an SNES controller jacket.
It's clear that you have both scientific knowledge and knowledge of conjuring magic, however.
There's more knowledge you have. The more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to handle whatever comes along. But your implication is that I furnished the machine with some trickery, I think.
It's a possibility that we have to explore. Sorry about that. I'm just having some gas.
Unfortunately, though, the machine has been blown to Kingdom Come. So there's really nothing left to explore, is there? It appears that the kinesis machine was fitted with a timed explosive device of some kind. And there's nothing left of that device either. Not a single shred of evidence remaining, I hear.
He must have planned all this from the outset.
But in any case, It's abundantly clear that the experiment couldn't have been a trick.
Hold it!
Of course, that's it! Mr. Assman was a twin!
Objection!
Perhaps my learned friend wasn't listening earlier. Mr. Assman had no twin siblings.
No, I heard you before, but the thread of hope hadn't quite left me.
The demonstration could have been a trick if there was someone who looked sufficiently like the victim. But Dr. Scythe absolutely ruled that as a possibility.
It is beyond question that the victim himself, Mr. Assman, did move from the stage to the Crystal Tower. The fingerprints found at the scene attest to that fact.
So it can't have been orchestrated using someone who looked identical to Mr. Assman then. What are you thinking, Mr. Naruto?
Oh, no, nothing. Just that the idea of someone who looked identical to the victim is playing on my mind.
Hold it!
It crashed head first, you say?
According to the many witness reports from those there at the time, yes.
Were you not there at the exhibition grounds on the day?
Yes, I was getting a hot dog, I was getting a corn dog. I was inventing the triple-decker corn dog. I was revolutionizing the way we eat food. I have invented a product known as the funnel cake. Unlikely. I rarely leave my workshop.
Yet another of your unique inventions is found at the scene.
Well, it was the unveiling of a machine I labored over for many months. I saw it clearly with my own eyes, the birdcage plummeting headfirst into the tower. That is why I shot then a balloon. It was like my 41-shot salute of sadness. And I was like, I will blast this balloon down.
What a surprise.
I believe the victim's neck was broken from the headlong fall, wasn't it?
How would you have come by that information?
Even an infernal recluse like me reads the newspaper, you know. According to the reports, 2 injuries were apparent on the victim's body.
Yes, he'd been stabbed in the chest by a screwdriver believed to belong to the defendant, and he had a broken vertebrae as a result of a fall from a considerable height.
Correct. My learned friend has been doing his research, it seems. He's finally learning. I'm so proud of him.
Do we know which injury was the fatal one?
Sadly not. Forensic science is not yet at a level where such things can be determined. What we do know is that the victim died having sustained both injuries at some point during the experiment. And since he was found in the birdcage with his neck broken, it's obvious that he fell from a considerable height.
I suppose that's hard to deny.
Hold it!
Yeah, and then basically Hairbrain's just gonna jump up on stage. My science is not flawed! Wanna see my work? I have it on an Etch-a-Sketch! So you understood the science, did you?
Not in the slightest.
Oh, right.
As I said a number of times, I'm an engineer. My job is to manufacture according to the blueprints I'm given. I would be inviting manifold problems if I foolishly allowed my brain to digest the ideas behind them. I could be accused of stealing those ideas, for example. But an idea they will never steal from me is the Dipod Challenge.
But how is it possible to construct a machine without really understanding the principles it relies on?
Well, you are practicing law without really understanding the principles it relies on, aren't you?
A very good point.
Stand up for yourself, Mr. Naruto!
The point is, the experiment resulted in instantaneous kinesis taking place. As such, the science must be sound. Yes, and really, experimental results are all that matters when it comes to proving a hypothesis.
He's clearly very sure of himself.
What do you think, Mr. Naruto?
Well, now that the machine has been completely destroyed by yesterday's explosion, it's going to be impossible to argue its authenticity one way or another.
But if we're unable to establish that it was a piece of stage trickery rather than genuine science, we will have no grounds on which to demonstrate Professor Hairbrain's innocence.
Both Mr. Assman and this man in the stand tricked the professor and used him. They took advantage of his naivete and unbending belief in his work, and I won't let them get away with it. And seeing as the professor is an old friend of Lord Van Zeek's, what on earth must he be feeling towards Trevor?
I am not messing with him. Look at him. He has a robot hand. He's like Anakin Skywalker, my learned friend. He's gonna fire a laser outside of that scope on his left eye.
Okay, dum 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 dum.
Objection.
Okay, yippee! We're trying to prove that the wax body was basically the flaw.
Is that your task, counsel, to explain the sum house to the court and not the other way around?
It just seems to jar, though, don't you think?
What I think is that this whole exchange has been extremely jarring, yes.
Perhaps I need to reconsider this. Okay. Let's see this. Yeah. Can we see this? Yeah. Okay. This piece of glass is almost as thick as it is wide.
Yes, I've never seen anything like it.
If you were to compare it to a human, only Mr. Sholmes has such a thick skin.
There's really no need for such a comparison, Mr. Naruto, as you well know.
Anyways, it can only be from the Crystal Tower, surely.
Yes, I think so too. It was probably made especially to meet the demands of the great structure.
Come on. Can we scan something? Yeah. Can we examine it all? Wait, what was that? Can we examine? Okay, thought we could examine. Thought we could. I saw something. Ah! This lock does look very strong, doesn't it? There's definitely no way you could remove the mask yourself if you put it on.
What a terrible way to treat someone, even a convicted criminal.
I know, it's starting to make me livid, actually.
Mr. Naruto, please.
I mean, just think about it. Imagine if you had an itch on your cheek all of a sudden. You'd be utterly helpless.
Well, yes, that's true. But I'm not sure that warrants quite so much anger.
Oh, right. Susanoo, if you ever had an itch on your cheek that you couldn't scratch, it's torture. Da 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 Okay. Okay. Yeah, I know that basically the wax sculpture was used as a body double. But it's just determining. Okay. Camera and photos of the balloon. Autopsy reports. Bum 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 bum.
Hold it!
Okay, can we get any new things? Okay, I did not select that. I selected the wrong thing. Hooray. Yeah, but like I said, just with Ace Attorney, it's not so much the hard part isn't so much knowing, okay, what is off with this statement, or, oh, hey, here's what we have to do to progress, but rather just how we're going to go there. Or I know, for example, that basically the wax sculpture was used as the body double. But yet the issue is determining how to go about doing it.
Hold it!
Da 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 dum. Dum dum dee dum ding dum dee doom doom doom.
Objection!
Da down down down. Down 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 down. Down 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 down. Down down doo 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 doo. I'm assuming that it's one, but I don't think it's this one or this one. Okay, I'm really thinking that was this one. I could have sworn it was this one. Yeah, it's determining what it is. Okay, the blueprints. Okay. Got to think. Is it this right here?
Objection.
Okay, no, apparently we cannot object to this with the head. The head is not what we want. And I wouldn't overrule your objection either, Counsel. I don't know. The defense the defense would have to accept the penalty given.
Glad to hear it, and you would also have to think again.
Okay. Thinking. What is it? What? Okay, what is it? I swear. I'm just confused. Okay, just gotta think. Okay. Let's search around and see if there's anything else. Okay. Nope, nothing there. Nothing there. Okay, we already examined that. Okay, what is it? What? Okay. Wait. Okay. I think okay. Damage to the base. Okay, this is what we want. Okay, got it. We've examined the birdcage that crashed into Crystal Tower ourselves. As you can see, the cage, which is a wooden construction, has sustained damage in one particular spot.
Following the explosion, it fell some 30 feet into the glass of the Crystal Tower. That leaves that level of damage is to be expected, surely.
I agree. The damage itself is entirely understandable. What doesn't make sense is the location of that damage. All the breakages in the wood are at the base of the birdcage, not the top.
What are you saying? That's the opposite of where they should be.
That's right, my lord. The birdcage that was at the scene is damaged at the base. So we have reports of the birdcage falling headlong into the Crystal Tower, yet the damage is at the bottom. The only way to reconcile these two facts is to accept that there were two birdcages in play that day, which were at some point switched. Switched during what wasn't a scientific experiment at all, but an elaborate piece of stage trickery. Gah!
Good gracious! Explain yourself, witness.
Well,
if we examine the facts, there's only one logical conclusion we can draw. The damage on the base of the birdcage clearly indicates that it crashed tailverse into the tower.
Objection.
but multiple witnesses reports claim that it fell head first.
The birdcage materialized in the sky next to a balloon flying over the stage, following a spontaneous explosion at an altitude of some 60 feet above ground level.
Which is approximately 18 meters.
It then proceeded to fall some 30 feet into the Crystal Tower in the ensuing deflagration. Witness reports amid such chaos are notoriously unreliable.
Objection.
But the victim's neck was broken.
Objection!
What if his neck was already broken? Have you ever thought about that, my Neboni's friend? He plummeted 30 feet inside a heavy wooden cage. However he fell, it would be unsurprising to find one or two of his vertebrae crushed. Cut. A riveting scientific analysis of events from the prosecution's there. Although they appear to be even more rigorous. You would have to say it was only one vertebra, actually. Now behold, my badass theme that is very catchy.
I love this theme so much. It's such a catchy theme. It's got some intensity behind it, especially when Enoch's looking so smug there. Look at that. This is a guy who knows that his theme is badass. This is a guy who knows that his theme is arguably one of those badass in the game. He wasn't quiet for long.
I find it hard to see what's motivating Lord Van Zeeks. This witness is clearly a swindler and one who has deceived a personal friend of his.
If you're going to establish this deception, do it right.
Sorry?
I feel like that's the undertone here.
Ah yes, and there's one more point. The defense appears to have forgotten. It obviously wasn't a trick, as a certain truth very plainly demonstrates.
What?
It seems to me that the cross-examination had better continue until we resolve this matter. Mr. Trevor, you will amend your testimony with details of this truth. Of course, we must treat the matter scientifically after all.
Ah, I nearly had him there.
The kinesis clearly took place because there's nowhere else 30 feet high for the birdcage to have fallen from.
Boo boo. Da do da do. Ba bo bam bam. Ba dee do 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 do.
Objection!
Okay, what the heck? It's the balloon! We are establishing the balloon! What is wrong with this world? I swear, just the balloon. Yes, reconsider it, as I'm losing all my points.
Hold it!
What do you mean?
Well, before the demonstration began, the victim was alive on stage in front of the audience.
Yes, there are lots of witnesses who saw Mr. Assman on the experimentation stage. That's true.
And the victim's neck broke as a result of an impact following a fall. Logically, therefore, the victim must have fallen from somewhere. The balloon that exploded was at an altitude of 30 feet. The point of impact on the tower is 30 feet up.
Oh wait, it's probably the stage. It's probably the stage that we have to reason with. But frankly, I don't know. At this point.
And there's no other location from which the gauge could have fallen from. That the distance, if it didn't drop out of the sky. Ergo, the victim himself must have been beamed from the stage into the sky above the crystal tower. A trenchant scientific analysis. Dear me, every time I hear it explained, it sounds increasingly plausible. Oh yes, it's all very well thought out.
Certainly all the specters on the day saw it. The birdcage plummeting 30 feet through the air, I mean.
Irritatingly, yes. Okay. Dum 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 dum. Okay. Do we have any perspective on the stage? Let's photograph the balloon. Okay. I'm thinking that may be the machine, though it could also be the picture of the stage. I'm debating about which one it is. Okay. Let's try experimental sketch. Okay. First off, I think it would probably be a good idea for me to save. Okay. Record, save. Okay, yep. Save that. Okay, good. And now, hopefully, we can now use this. Experimental sketch. Yes, thank you. This is a diagram of the experimentation stage and its surroundings. We know that somehow the birdcage appeared in midair before falling down into the crystal tower. A fall of about 30 feet, or 9 meters. However, if you examine the diagram carefully, you'll see that there is one other possible location from which the birdcage could have fallen. While the same distance of 30 feet.
No! Well, it appears the defense is a possible explanation to put forward. Go ahead, counsel.
Yes, my lord. Of course.
You will indicate the place of which you are referring to on the same diagram. The alternate location from which the birdcage could have possibly fallen could have fallen the requisite 30 feet.
I swear, I know it's the stage. Okay. Is it... Okay. Let's see if I can basically select... Okay, I'm gonna select... Okay, is it... Could have fallen... Okay, from which the birdcage could have fallen.
Take that!
There! Okay, hopefully it's right. The place I'm referring to is here!
Well, that's where the birdcage would have been to begin with.
Which is exactly the point, my lord. Yes, the birdcage was in the machine on the stage. But what we must also consider is that the height of the stage itself.
Go on, counsel.
It turns out the experimentation stage was built at a considerable height above ground level. If you look at the diagram, in fact, you'll see it's about the same height above the ground as the balloon was above the crash site. When the experiment got underway, the machine and the birdcage were engulfed in steam. At that moment, the floor on the stage gave way, and if we assume there to be a void underneath, this birdcage and the one seen by the audience would have fallen at almost exactly the same distance. Once again, my lord, this all points to the fact that there was not one birdcage but two.
Objection!
My learned friend has no evidence that the stage had such a contrivance in its design.
Someone is responsible for the criminal destruction of the kinesis machine itself. It's true. However, the stage still stands. And take a moment to look at this photographic print of the scene following yesterday's explosion.
Good lord, the metal grill that formed the floor of the machine is undone.
Yes, most likely blown open by the force of the explosion that destroyed the rest of the machine. The defense calls for the space below the stage to be investigated immediately. Mr. Drebber, it was you who built the kinesis machine, which means that it was you who built the two bird cages that were used to carry out this deception.
Ugh.
Whether Professor Abraham's hypothesis is sound or not makes no difference, because it's the construction of his machine that matters. A machine designed to take Mr. Assman's life and lay the blame firmly at the professor's door, something that could only have been carried out by you, Mr. Enoch Drebber.
Gah! Ah!
Objection!
I swear, I can just imagine. You know how in the Karate Kid they have it where Daniel learns basically. He learns the different techniques like wash the car, wax on, wax off, trim the grass, things like that. I can imagine Van Zeke's having his own fighting technique. Uncork the wine! Uncork the wine! Throw the rock at my learned friend's house! Throw the rock at my learned friend's house! The prosecution would like to crush the defense's argument slowly, but surely. What? Your argument fails to hold water on 2 counts.
2?
Firstly, before and after the experiment, this witness went nowhere near the kinesis machine. Every relevant member of the staff from the exhibition has attested to that. And I believe members of Scotland Yard have also been on watch duty at every public experiment. In other words, Mr. Drebber had no opportunity to switch the alleged pair of birdcages.
Objection!
But I've already explained why he wouldn't have needed to. The nonsense with the crossbow, that doesn't bolster your case at all. The man who disappeared from the stage and the man who crashed into the tower are one and the same. The forensic investigation team's report is unequivocal on that point.
Ah!
And the second flaw in your assertion is a distinct lack of motive. Why would this man want to take the victim's life? He had no reason to do so.
A motive? But do I have to think of everything myself?
I have here a contract provided by the witness. What contract is this, Lord Bezix? The contract into which Mr. Drebber entered with the victim, Mr. Assman. It reads, Mr. Drebber is to receive 30% of all remunerations from government grants or other income. 30%? Certainly very favorable contractual conditions. But there was one very important provision bolted into that clause.
What provision?
Mr. Drebber may only uphold this right on condition that both contracting parties are alive. In other words, if either of us were to die, the contract would become null and void.
Well, if Enoch died, then basically how would the contract be upheld? What, are they going to drop off 30% of the payments to his grave?
So you see, I had nothing to gain from Mr. Assman's death. The diametric opposite, in fact. Need I say more? The witness had neither an opportunity nor a reason to commit the alleged crime. In short, the possibility of Mr. Drebber having done as you suggest is nil! It seems the defense's assertion was somewhat wide off the mark. Lord Van Zeeks, you will submit the contract as evidence, please.
Drebber's contract has been added. It's true. Yes. If Drebber had no opportunity to switch the birdcage under the stage with the one in the Crystal Tower, he couldn't have done it. And in any case, I have no idea what his motive might have been.
There is one aspect of your argument that still holds true, however. There were 2 bird cages. The prosecution is unable to deny that.
So I'm sure you're on the right line, You're on the right lines, Mr. Naruto.
And I have no doubt there are other aspects of your assertion that are undeniable truths too.
Well, it would seem that the defense has no rejoinder to offer.
And I believe that now would be a good time to end things off. Anyways, I really appreciate that you took time to watch this episode. You're a great viewer, and I hope you can for the next one. If you like this video, like, subscribe, comment, share, do whatever you want. Without, see you next time. Bye.